Welcome back to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. I am joined as always with my boy Dylan from Nets Press. We are what is today? Sunday, so we're 3 days away from the draft. I'm looking through your Substack article now on Ace. I'm trying to skim through it while we're live. But this seems to have legs to it. Ace Bailey to the Brooklyn Nets is not going away. He's not
only
working.
Getting stronger.
Yeah. Well, give me your thoughts. I'll break this down for us. The reality of this. Can we get him at 8? Are they going to move down for him? And do you think he's going to end up in Brooklyn on Wednesday night?
I hate being open about how I feel about certain things because 9 times out of 10, when I do say something, it goes the opposite way. But I am very confident as of right now with how these news articles are coming out, with how reports are coming out from his camp, from other teams' camps, from Brooklyn. I'm very confident as of right now we're moving up to 4 to get him. I think Sean Marks is going to call his old friend and Jeff Peterson, the former assistant GM of the Nets, and I think that there is a trade that's going to be worked out between the two. I don't think it happens before the draft, and the reason for that is because you have to sit and wait to see if Ace Bailey is selected 3rd by Philly or if it is VJ Edgecombe. And if it is Edgecombe, you have to suspect that a deal is already agreed upon prior to draft night, that you literally just call and say, hey, VJ's off the board, let's send it in, and the deal goes through. Overall, though, the two teams that are being linked to him most in terms of trade up are Brooklyn and New Orleans. And I do think that Brooklyn has more of a desire to go out and get him than New Orleans does, especially with New Orleans already having Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Zion. I really don't think they need a wing specifically. I also heard some rumors that New Orleans is very set on Kaman Maliwak as of right now. So to me, I think this is a one-man race. And if Ace, slips to 4, I think Brooklyn's the team to get it done. So I'm very confident in that right now.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this, right? Because he refused to work out for Philly. To me, and Utah. To me, it seems like he's trying to get to Brooklyn. Am I just being overly optimistic there?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's Brooklyn and Washington. And I don't think really that it's Washington. I just think that they put Washington out there because they don't specifically want him to place a name on a team that he wants to go to make this not look like a total, I'm not playing for anybody but this team type of thing, Washington has a package to move up too. They could simply give up the 6th and 18th pick to Philly for the 3rd pick if they really want Ace. I don't think they do. I think they want Jeremiah Fears or Trey Johnson. And one of them will be available. I mean, I just did a lottery mock draft yesterday. I haven't posted it anywhere or anything, but it was Brooklyn trading up to 4 for Ace. It was Fears going 5 to Utah, and it was Trey Johnson going 6 to Washington, with Maliwak going 7 to New Orleans and Kneppel going 8 to Charlotte, right? I truly do believe that we're like set in stone on what the top 8 is going to look like. I don't see guys like Derek Queen, Jaka Chonis, Yegor Dem, none of these guys, I don't see the top 8 to me solidified. So at this point now...
Do you have time for one more mock draft either Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, let's do Tuesday. Tuesday should work. Yeah,
okay,
let's
we can do
Tuesday.
that.
We'll figure out a time. But I definitely want to get one more out there because I also do have to get my final mock draft out there. I'm supposed to post it tomorrow, but I'm going to be very honest. I haven't even started writing it because I have no clue what's going on with these trades. So I'm going to have to start that actually today. But yeah, we'll definitely get one more in. But I truly do believe that's how the first round is going to look. Is I have 2 or 3 lottery trades happening. I've got Brooklyn moving up twice. I do think Brooklyn moves up twice. I do think if Ace is available at 4, you go and get him. And I think then Brooklyn looks to move up with Houston or Toronto to go get Yegor Demon. And I put that in the article. If you want to share it up at some point during this. I do mention that I do believe Brooklyn's draft dynamic duo that they are eyeing is Ace Bailey and Yegor Demon, just based on reports that are coming out. Rafael Barlow, incredibly insightful. He's been very accurate and reliable with his reporting as of late. He's doing a great job. So I added some of his quotes in there. I put this up here as well. This is what I said back on June 7th. This is from somebody that I had spoken to on the Brooklyn side of things. And it's come true. This is now a realistic tweet that I have posted. I mean, listen, I talk to very low end guys. These are guys who are just starting in the reporting game, guys that you can find on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it may be. So it's not always reliable, right? And I can own up to that. I don't pretend to be like a full blown NBA source. I'm not, but I do speak with some people around the league, and this one just so happened to be one that became true, just like others in the past. But yeah, I mean, VJ Edgecombe is now heavily favored to be the 3rd overall pick. And if that's the case, the 4th overall pick in Charlotte is going to be a discussion for Brooklyn. That's known at this point. It's whether or not they want Cam Johnson or Nick Claxton, though, or just future draft capital. It really just depends on what they want.
I got it. Why do the Hornets want Claxton?
Mark Williams replacement, a guy that fits the LaMelo timeline, a guy that can play the pick and roll with LaMelo. You know, this is a defensive big who stays healthy relatively, something that Mark Williams doesn't. You know, I think that it makes a lot of sense for Charlotte, especially if they are still looking to move on from Mark Williams, right? There's talks that Miles Bridges is now potentially up and available. If you just move Nurkic in the 4th pick for Claxton at 8, you're getting Claxton, most likely Kneppel, and then you could package up Mark Williams with Miles Bridges and get some really key pieces to that team.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely some interest and levels to what Charlotte can do this offseason to improve that roster around LaMelo. So I definitely think that they're the team that Brooklyn starts to work with if a trade does occur for Ace Bailey.
So let's get a little bit into Ace. Well, first, shout out to Cam Thomas. I want to touch on this a little housekeeping first. Cam Thomas says he wants to stay in Brooklyn. It looks like a deal is going to be worked out. I mean, Cam Thomas doesn't give a whole bunch of emotion in any answer that he gives. Yeah. But it does seem like he wants to be here. This is where he wants to play. Mm-hmm. When do you expect that to get done? And do you think?
I would say right before free agency officially kicks off. So I don't think he's going to hit the open market where a team can offer him a contract. I think they'll get it done beforehand, or at least give him the qualifying offer to where they can match on a deal. I will say, and we've shit on Nets Daily numerous times, and I'm going to do it again, not in a disrespectful way, but to say that he's going to be offered a $25 million per year contract for 4 years, $100 million, I think is absolute blasphemy. You're overbidding yourself by $10 million. The closest team with cap space has 15 to 17 million, and it does not make sense for Brooklyn to overpay to keep somebody who physically cannot make more money elsewhere. I still am going to stand by it. I think the contract is going to be 20 to 22 million. I think it's going to be a 3-year deal, whether it's a player option or not. And the only way, and I've said this before, that I see it being 25 million is if it is heavily front loaded, right? So the first year, maybe he makes 25 million, but the second year it drops down to like 21 and a half. The third year it goes down to 20 and a half, like something similar to what Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton's contracts were. So I don't think it's going to be 25 annually for multiple years, though.
It does seem like to me getting Cam Thomas on. Let's cut that in the middle and say 21 million. Let's say it's 3 years, 63 million. That is a really team friendly deal, is it not? Like 21 million per year for a guy that can get you 25 points a game on not totally inefficient shooting. To me that's a really good contract when you look at other contracts. I mean, it'll be less than what Cam Johnson makes.
Well, I mean, and I see Mark's comment here. These guys are likely not on the team. You know, Johnson and Claxton are likely to be traded at this point. If you are able to package that up where you move up to 4 for Ace, and you truly do love Yegor Demon as a prospect, Cam Johnson and the 19th pick can be shipped out to move up to 10. So these contract talks can't be based on what current players have, because these current players likely aren't going to be on the team.
But I don't even understand this comment. If you can't pay Johnson and Clax 92 and 100 million.
This is the same debate that everybody was having with Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Well, you can't pay Juan Soto more than Aaron Judge because Aaron Judge is the captain of the Yankees. Blah blah blah.
Okay,
blah,
well,
blah,
Judge
blah.
is 20. Okay. Yeah, well, Soto's 26. So yeah, you can.
It's not even that. It's also just okay. Well, if that's how you're going to base your contracts and off seasons, then you're never going to be good. Because if you can't pay more for guys who are younger and more consistent in the playoffs than a certain guy, then what are you doing? So you can't base team building on, oh, well, this guy's younger and he's slightly better, so I have to pay him more than these guys, even though he doesn't deserve that money in full, and also no other team can offer him that. That just doesn't make sense.
Why can't
That's not how
you?
you
So
base it.
you want to? I'm not even saying it's overpaying Cam Thomas, but like, let's say you overpaid for a Honda and a Ford, but then you get this Ferrari on a deal. Should you overpay for the Ferrari too? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Just because you overpay for these other guys doesn't mean I then have to overpay Cam Thomas too to make out for the other bad deals that I made. If I can get Cam Thomas on a team-friendly deal, I'm just going to do that. What I pay Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton is irrelevant.
No, it's like when you go shopping and there's a 50% sale. You're not.
Yeah, I'm going to take that.
You're going to take the 50% sale, and you're not going to just be like, oh, well, I understand it's on sale, but I'm going to pay full price for it because I think it's the right thing to do.
Because I paid more for this other coat. That was not as. It's like
that's not how you do it. If market value says that he can't make more than a certain amount, the Nets could literally just come up to him and be like, okay, well, here's 15.2 million because no other team can offer you 15. And you're going to take it because it's all you can offer. Like you can.
If I'm Cam at that point, I'm saying make it a 1-year deal then.
Yeah,
make it a 1-year deal.
But that's why I'm saying I think that 20 to 22 million mark is more than fair. He was injured all season long. He was inefficient. He didn't really show too many flashes of improvements in terms of defense and playmaking. He had a couple of games playmaking wise, but
I disagree with you on the playmaking bit. I do.
I think the scoring even took the dip. Like if you look at him after the KD trade, you had 3 straight 40-point games. Where was that this year? You played 25.
It's tough to score on this team, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like does he really deserve 25+ million? No. He hasn't proven anything as a player. We can all love him because we've drafted him and he's become a really great scorer, but he hasn't proven anything in terms of impacting the game of winning and improving his skill set in other departments outside of scoring.
Unless he scores 20 in the fourth quarter of a really close game, he doesn't impact. I like Cam Thomas. I just feel like I have to preface it with that. I like Cam Thomas.
Yeah, I know. Everybody thinks it's hate. It's not.
Yeah,
it's just
he is what he is.
Real.
He's a bucket getter who, like, unless he's just absolutely cooking in the fourth quarter of a close game, he's not really going to impact winning. He's going to make some buckets. He's going to get you 25 points. But if that's enough to win it, it's enough to win. If it's not, it's not. He's not changing the game. He's not taking games over. He's not doing the little winning things that help you win. He's getting a bunch of buckets, which is good. It's valuable. Yeah. But he's not some great winning piece. It's not like we're a bad team. We get Cam Thomas and now we're a good team. It's like, no, it doesn't work.
Him and Jalen Green are very similar. And everybody, you can't even move Jalen Green's contract right now. Like the Suns don't want Jalen Green. That says something. Why would you overpay for a guy to keep him just because of his scoring ability? You don't. You give him what the market value is, which is 20 to 22 million, 2 3-year contracts. If it's a 3-year, maybe give him a player option to where he can opt out and get more money. You don't overpay for somebody that doesn't have the market to get paid like that. You just give him what he deserves and you move on. But he doesn't deserve 25 million. That's in
the back of my head. Oh, does he deserve? Is he a $25 million player?
I don't think so.
I think he might be. I think he is. That 25 million ain't what it used to be. It's not.
It's not. But you also have to think of it like, outside of scoring, what does he bring to the game of basketball that
nothing? Absolutely nothing.
And that's the thing. Once you develop net negative everywhere, that's when you start hitting that 25-30 million mark. And once you have that 3 skill set mark, that's usually when you're an all-star. And that's usually when, you can say 30+ million is fair. But for a guy with 1 skill set that's considered star level, I'm still saying 20 to 22 million.
Which I think I think if you get him on that deal, he becomes a very tradable asset. And in the back of my mind, I never really saw him playing on the Nets long term. And by long term, I mean beyond this year. Yeah. If even through the completion of this year. And now I'm starting to think maybe they keep him. He wants to be here. I don't. To me, he's not a building piece. Like once you get good, you have to trade him. I mean, he can help me sell some tickets.
He's in D'Angelo Russell's position.
Yeah.
Where when we got D'Lo, he was young. He had his All-Star season. He looked great. But the first moment that a superstar top 10 player became available, bye. That's how these things work. When you can't get to that next level and stay consistent as a star, or develop that second aspect to a game that really impacts the game of winning at a star caliber level, you're replaceable. And that's not a knock on his game. There's dudes in this league who can give you buckets and are great six men who are good third, fourth options. Look at Norman Powell. Norman Powell has consistently always been a very good scorer, but you don't see him being an all-star. He was a borderline star this year, and throughout his career, he's been a six-man. So that's a very similar pathway to what Cam Thomas's career looks like if he can't develop a secondary star level aspect.
What does Norman Powell make? Because I think that's a reasonable. I mean, I know he was a second round.
Like 18 a year. Let me check.
Yeah, it starts at 15. Yeah, it starts at 15 and a half and goes to 20. So yeah, about 18. Yeah, all right. And he signed that in 2021. Oh, this is the last year, Norman. This is the last year on his deal.
Yeah. So he'll probably get that 25, 30-ish because of the fact. Well, actually, no, he's 32. He'll probably get less. He'll be 33 when his contract is ready to be renewed. Yeah, he'll get less, if not the same. But yeah, again, a one-dimensional player who is good. Like he's not great, he's not bad, but he doesn't effectively impact games of winning as a first or second option. That's Cam Thomas.
2 years ago, Cam Johnson got 20, whatever it averages out to be, $22 million a year. Cam Johnson does, but that was 2 years ago, and he's got $22 million. Now the cap goes up. Yeah. Cam Johnson does one thing. He's not even a complete scorer.
Cam Johnson's a solid defender. He can play off ball. He can create his own shot at times.
I keep hearing Cam Johnson is a solid defender, yet I don't ever see that with my eyes.
I know. Well, I mean, you also have to factor in that he played with a bunch of nobodies. So, like, realistically, he's a fourth option. He gives you 15 plus a game. He shoots efficiently from three. He can space whether it's a step back three off the dribble or if it's a catch and shoot three, he can play off ball. He can play on ball. It's nothing spectacular, but for him, I don't think it's comparable with Cam Thomas because Cam Thomas has a star level aspect to his game. Johnson has role player aspects to his game where he affects the game in multiple ways as a role player, but as a star level player, which is what people want Cam Thomas to be, he does not affect the game at a star level outside of scoring, right? And even as a scorer, he's not efficient enough to be considered a star level scorer. So until that happens, why are we paying you extra? You know what I mean? I hope that it's 20 to 22 million. And if it is 25 million, you really have to hope that it's front loaded because if it's not, that really screws up a lot of things.
Thank you, LBL. He says Cam Johnson tries on defense, but he's not a good defender. Gary's right. Cam Thomas' contract is not $1 less than $100 million. $100 million? Wait, maybe this is... Mark, you want to join us for a bit later on? Cam Thomas' contract is not $1 less than $100 million. Last year probably is an option player. 100. So you're saying no less than 25 for Cam Thomas?
Blasphemy, because you've seen Sean Marks do contracts in the past, and every contract has been front loaded. If it's going to be 25 million, it's not going to be annually. It's going to drop.
Right. I'm saying if it averages at 25 for.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's averaging 25 a year. No.
He's not for 4 years. If he wants a 4-year deal, he's getting 18.
Like, I wouldn't even say that low. I would say 21.
For 4? Because now he doesn't stay healthy. Look, I'm not. I see people. Gary hates Cam Thomas. I love Cam Thomas, but look, I just want to be accurate here with who Cam Thomas is. Hang on one second. I'm going to pull up his stats. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to tell me.
This is the problem that every fan base has with homegrown talent, right? You develop a connection where you overly think that a player is something that he actually is. Cam Thomas is a glorified scorer, and he has not shown it at an all-star level. He has shown it at a borderline star level, but he has not shown it at an all-star level, nor does he have any other component to his game that is relatively close to a star level. You don't pay guys who are not stars major money for long-term contracts, especially.
I just want to be accurate here. So he's played 4 years. He's averaged 15.1 points per game on less than 50% effective field goal percentage.
Careful. You're going to get the excuses. You're going to get the excuses that Jacques Vaughn hated him.
Okay. All right.
And again, you can say that all you want. At the end of the day, he played on a contending team. And as a rookie, there's guys in this league who start as rookies or guys who get major minutes as rookies. And the reason they get that is because they deserve it and because they're good enough to get it. Cam Thomas was not. Thomas was a liability defensively. He refused to pass the ball. He was an inefficient shot chucker. These are all the things that he was labeled because it was true, right? He occasionally went off for great games, but it was not consistent. Again, even last year, throughout his 25 games, not efficient. Developed some form of playmaking, but nothing near at a star level. Defensively, was still not that good. Like, what are we talking about here? You got to stop glorifying players just because you have attachments to them. Like Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton was my favorite player on this team 2 years ago outside of KD. Right? Nick Claxton sucks. He is not good anymore.
He's not great. He's not terrific.
You know, you don't see me glorifying him because I really like him. I really like Claxton, and I think in a different situation, he'll still be a very good player, but he's not going to do it here. You know, like you got to be real with yourself sometimes.
Here's my point. He's played 67 games, 57 games, 66 games, 25 games. He's where's the minutes per?
I want to say
he's played 17, 16, 31. So he's never played more than 31 minutes a game. He's never played over 2,400 minutes in a season. Well, what's the most minutes he's ever played in a season? 2,000 minutes is the most he's ever played in a season. But that is about half a season, right? Like there are 4,000 minutes a season.
No.
What season there did he show you that he's a $100 million player? Like there's nothing there that would suggest that. And I like Cam Thomas, but Mark, there's nothing in that. If he would have went out and played 80 games this year, played 35 minutes a game, averaged 28 points a game, 45, 35, 85 shooting, maybe it's still an overpay because you don't have to pay him that. But at least he's giving you a full season of really good scoring. He's never done that. He's averaged 15 points a game on subpar shooting. And now you're going to give him $25 million a year for 4 years when he also gets injured? Like, Mark, I like him too, but like you got to be reasonable. Like, who would you even be bidding against? It's like going to a car dealership and the sticker on the car says $30,000, and you go to the car salesman. Can I give you $70,000 for that $30,000 car? Yes, you can. Right? Like, this is wild. Like, I like Cam Thomas too, but $100 million is outrageous. Like, that's crazy, especially when you're bidding against nobody. I understand for Cam Thomas, it's not a great year to go into free agency. We all agree on that. It's the way that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep. It's the same thing with Nick Claxton when he was first coming up as a free agent. He wasn't a full-time starter, and he didn't really have a full-blown skill set yet. He looked great defensively, and he looked solid playing alongside all-stars, but short-term contract, 2 years. What was it, like $25 million? He was making like 12.5 or something for those 2 years, right? Okay, and then you played well, you looked good with the Stars, and you got your contract. Same thing. Cam Thomas has not shown a reason why he should be paid, and there's no reason to fully utilize your cap space on players who are not going to help you improve. You keep that cap space for trades, for all-stars down the line. Like, that's you don't just overpay because you have the money or because you like a player. You give them what they're valued at. And if his value is between 18 to 20 million and you want to offer him 21, that's fine, because no other team views him in the league as a reliable asset. That's why you see so many executives say, I don't know what his value is, because some people think he's a star and some people think he's a six-man, right? Like,
well, yeah, I think it depends right now on the Nets. Yeah, the Nets offense is not heavy pick and roll. It's not really an offense. I don't want to say it's not an offense that he can thrive in, but it's not an offense that's set up around to let Cam cook, right? Like, that's not the kind of offense the Nets run. It's a lot of penetrating pitches, pass the ball around the perimeter, right? Like, if it was Thibodeau's offense and they just like kind of said, here, go, he could average 30 a game, but it's not that kind of offense, right? But even at that, it was like, I've always say everyone who ever averaged 26 points a game in the season got paid, except for Isaiah Thomas, little IT.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason, right? Because he's a one-dimensional guy who's got clear liabilities and clear flaws in his game. And like Cam Thomas, IT had a year with Boston. I think he averaged like 31 points a game or something like that.
He was third in MVP voting.
Yeah. Cam Thomas ain't never had a season anywhere close to that. So he's not going to get, ultimately, he's not going to get paid superstar money because he's not a superstar. That doesn't mean he's not a good player. It doesn't mean he's not a valuable player. He is, but he's not getting superstar money. Like the other guys in the league that average 30 points a game, even if Cam Thomas averaged 30. Let me pose a question to the chat. There are two free agents. One 6'7", can handle the ball and can play the 1-2-3 and can defend the 1-2-3. He averages 26 points a game. The other guy is a 6'3" 2 who can only play the 2 and averages 25 points a game. Who's getting paid more money?
Yep, I agree.
Like
I said, overvaluing a player just because you like him is not how you're supposed to do things. I loved Kyrie. I loved KD. But the moment they were traded, my world didn't end. It sucked. It hurt. But you moved on from it. It's the same thing with this. Cam Thomas is not a guy that the Nets most likely view as a player who's going to be here within 3 years. Nobody on this roster as of right now is likely a player who's going to be here within the next 3 years. You don't overvalue and overpay for that and make it a contract that's not good enough to be traded. You give him his money and what he rightfully deserves, 20 to 22 million, which is a very movable contract next year or the year following. If you want to give him a player option, give him a player option. If he thinks he deserves more money, make it a shorter term contract. But you have to prove it. You don't pay for things because you think they're going to be good. You pay for things because you know they're going to be good. And Cam Thomas is not somebody that I think is going to you can think that he's going to be a star all you want, but I personally don't know if he's going to be an all-star. And if I don't know it, I'm not paying it.
Did Net fans think he's going to be our Jalen Brunson? Do you think he's going to be a guy? Yes, he's one-dimensional, but he's an absolutely unstoppable scorer.
Brunson has the playmaking aspect of it. That dude averages 6+ assists per game, right? He at least has that second star level capability where he can play make, whether it's through the pick and roll, whether it's cutting and hitting somebody in the corner. Like, he's able to play make at least. Cam Thomas is not that good of a playmaker yet. And again, until you show that second star capability to your game, I'm not paying you star level money.
Am I stuck? Does Lou have a point? 20 to 23 is not what it used to be. I agree. Does Lou have a point here? Am I stuck in 5 year ago money?
No, because realistically, Cam Thomas isn't an all-star. As of right now, he is still considered a role player. He's not even a star. A star player averages 25 plus and gives you a second component at a star capability. Jalen Williams is a star because he gives you 23 plus a game, but he also gives you 5+ boards, 5+ assists per game. That's a star, right? Chet Holmgren is considerably a star because he gives you 16 plus per game, but also gives you all-star capabilities on the defensive end. Cam Thomas does not give you a star capability on defense as a playmaker, as a rebounder, as an off-ball threat. He doesn't do any of those. He gives you star capabilities as a scorer, but he doesn't give you star capabilities as an efficient scorer. So why am I paying him? You don't overvalue something. Like, realistically, there's no argument or debate that shows why you should be paying somebody 10 million plus more than what they can get from any other team. If the most that a team can give him is 15 million, 20 to 22 million is fitting. And more so on that 20 million.
But why, like, if I can get him, like, so there's a buyer and a seller here, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the buyer wants to get the product as cheap as possible. The seller wants to sell it for as much as possible. If I can get Cam Thomas on 18 million a year for 3 years, or 4 years, mm-hmm. and there's no one else willing to match that, and he said, I want the economic security, I'll take it. I'm not going to overpay him because he's a nice guy and I like him. Like,
yeah. What is he going to say? What is he realistically going to say? He's a restricted free agent and nobody has money. What's he going to say? I'm going to wait for another team to offer me something better.
I'll take a 1 year deal with a player option and try to play myself out of this contract.
Yep. And that's fine.
Right. Yeah.
Players have done that and that works fine.
Would you rather give him 1 year for 22 or 3 years for 60?
3 years for 60 because you at least have it locked into where you can trade him. He's a restricted free agent this year, but if you give him a 1 year deal, then you're going to have him hit unrestricted free agency. And if there's a team out there with cap space where he feels disrespected and wants to leave, okay, well, then now you just lost him for nothing, right? So at least lock it in long term, but there's no need for overpaying. Jalen Johnson is a young potential star. He has the scoring ability and the rebounding ability and the defensive ability. Cam Thomas does not have two of those. Derek White has star capabilities in terms of being a playmaker. He has showcased that in games where Drew Holiday was out and where he was the primary ball handler. He also gives you 18 plus a game on highly efficient scoring. Star capabilities. Jalen Green, that's the only one that I'll agree with. And look at his contract. It fucking sucks. Miles Turner, starting caliber stretch big man in this league. Also a very good rim protector. 2-star capabilities at the big man position. Like, what are we debating here? Drew Holiday got paid 3 years ago when he was an all-star. Jalen Suggs, one of the best two-way guards in the league. Aaron Gordon, one of the best two-way role players in the league. OG, one of the best defenders in the league. Bridges, one of the best defenders in the league. Like, these are all the things that Claxton's contract sucks.
It's horrible. You can't look at that. It's one of the worst contracts in basketball. I mean, there's some other bad ones. Paul George,
second least
Bradley
valuable
Beal
contract in terms of player performance. Jalen Brown,
it was worse than Bradley Beal, which is out.
Yeah,
which is
Jalen Brown makes $63 million, and he was the worst evaluated player in terms of pay compared to play. Right, his evaluation, I believe, was like a contract between like 10 to 20 million, somewhere in that range, for a guy that's making 63 million. Claxton's contract is 25 million a year, and they had him playing as if he was a league minimum player. That's what his contract evaluation was based on his advanced stats. He was a guy making
no place on earth does it make sense to overpay for Cam Thomas. It's not like if we get Cam Thomas, like the Knicks with OG, right? The Knicks overpaid OG for sure, but they felt that they kept OG. They were really good with him, and they'd have a chance to win a championship.
I also have to mention, sorry to cut you off, but I also have to mention Derek White on the Celtics. They're contending. They can do that. Miles Turner on the Pacers. They're in the finals.
That's my point.
Drew Holiday on the Celtics, contending. They can do that. Jalen Suggs on the Magic. They're contending. They can do that. Aaron Gordon on the Nuggets. They're contending. They can do that. OG Bridges on the Knicks. They're contending. They can do that. Tyler Hero, number one option in terms of scoring, and has improved tremendously as a playmaker. He was an all-star this year. They can do that. You don't do it for a guy that hasn't shown the signs for a second star capability to his game. There's no debate. You can love a player and admit that you love a player and that you overvalue the player because you love the player. You can do that, but that does not make the opinions that you have any more justifiable than what's in front of us. And that what's in front of us is that he is a great scorer, and that's it.
One last thing on last year when Claxton signed that contract, we all said it was an overpay. You paid absolute top dollar for Claxton, but okay, you kept him if you wanted him. Yep. Is this what you want to do? Do you want to overpay for every player that you like? Like, it's not a good model to say, okay, we kept him because we overpaid him. It's not. You want to get people on team friendly deals so you can sign other people and have flexibility. How many starters on their second contract make less than $100 million? Dylan, I know I got to get back to Ace. We got to get back to
players that aren't all stars.
We got to get back to. I want to transition this back
because majority of players who aren't all stars or were injured. If you're a borderline star like Jalen Green was, you get paid. Jalen Johnson made all rookie teams. That's the reason why he was eligible for that extension. Derek White won a championship. Drew Holiday won a championship as one of the best defensive guards in the league. Like, this is simplistic ball knowledge. It's simple.
To me, Mark is already hedging his bet that he can defend Sean Marks if Sean Marks does do something stupid like give Cam Thomas $100 million. If he does, Mark is saying, no, it was the right thing to do. And Mark's kind of like making his bed for that moment now, is what I see.
It was the same thing with all the draft lottery talks.
If Mark gets
we could win games and we could not be a bottom 5 team, but it's a lottery. No, the fuck it's not. The floor of the pick matters more than the lottery. If you're the worst team in the league, you get the 5th pick at worst. If you're the 6th worst team, the worst you can get is 9. And statistically, it hasn't jumped in the top 5 in the last 7 years. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. And I will forever stand by that.
Mostly women lie. Men lie too, but those are low. I've heard
men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And I will always stand by
lie,
that.
But like, I've heard the phrase, be a man of your word. What does that mean? It means stand by your word. Have you ever in your whole life heard someone say, be a woman of your word? I don't even know what that would mean.
Mark, I said it was impossible to move into the top 2. Primarily at the time I said top 3, and that's because Ace was solidified at 3. I'll give you that. But the top 3 is still something that is more than likely not going to be traded. The
All
Spurs
right,
are not trading number 2. Flag is going to Dallas, so the top 2 picks are not getting traded. Philly is trying to up the value on the 3rd pick, knowing that Ace doesn't want to be there, and they're not going to get anything for it. They're just going to take VJ, and if they do trade back, it's going to be a slight overpay. Like, okay, you could still move up to 4. I've been saying that all along, but there was no need to if it was VJ or Trey Johnson on the board, because neither of them makes sense if you're having Cam Thomas on this team, the guy that you're claiming should be paid $25 million. So, yeah, it is impossible to move up for Flag or Harper. That is a fact.
All right, I want to transition back to Ace Bailey now that we're kind of talking about this, because we could spend all day on Cam Thomas. I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will have many more days where we spend all day on Cam Thomas this offseason. But I want to transition back to Ace Bailey. And before that, Lee put in the chat, is everyone out on Kuminga? I'm not. I don't want to get into Kuminga right now, but I am not. I'm still in on Kuminga.
The Nets are out on him, so it doesn't even matter.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
But
I'm hearing that if Miami misses out on KD, that they want Kuminga, and Chicago is another team that really wants Kuminga.
I want to get in on Ace again. Everyone has a lot to say. I want to refusing to meet with teams, refusing to work out with Philly. What are your thoughts on Ace Bailey's strategy here? Is this going to backfire on him? Is it going to cost himself millions? How far can he drop? Or is someone just going to move in and take him?
I think the farthest he can drop is 6. But realistically, a team like Utah or Washington, with the capital that they have, there's no need for them to trade back. They can just stick and pick their players, and if one of them's Ace, it's Ace. So if you want Ace as a Nets fan, the only teams that make sense to trade up with is Philly and Charlotte. Philly's going to fleece you. They're going to get way more than what they should, and if it entails getting Paul George, I'm not doing it. But Charlotte is the team that makes the most sense. And I said this almost a month ago. I have been saying this now for the past couple of weeks. It makes the most sense for Charlotte to move back if they miss out on VJ Edgecombe. Edgecombe is the number 1 guy on their board. It's the one that they want. And if he's off the board, the second guy that they want is Kneppel or Maluak, right? At 8, one of those guys will be available. So for them, moving back and gaining some assets in return for a 4-spot move up makes the most sense.
I want to put this out there, right?
That's sarcasm.
What did Lou say?
Daryl Morey would never flee Sean Marks. I'm not sure if that's sarcasm or not, because I can recall Ben Simmons being traded for James Harden.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I'm pretty sure, but I think that's sarcasm. I wanted to address this, right? So dropping from 3 to 6, what does that mean? Well, it means $13 million. That's a lot, right? So, I mean, is he costing him
3 to 4?
3 to 4 is $5 million.
Okay. I could see him living with that, because also you have to think about it. He's already got the Nike deal. He's going to be in a big market in New York if he is going to get traded with the 4th pick to Brooklyn. Like, I don't think that means the world to him. You could definitely tell that he wants to be in a situation where he's going to play immediately. And the only 2 teams that offer that out of the top 8 is Washington and Brooklyn. Actually, more so Utah and Brooklyn, because Washington has Bilal Coulibaly and Corey Kispert as of right now, and Alex Sarr. So it really depends on what he's prioritizing. I think Brooklyn is the clear and obvious fit. It makes the most sense. And I'm not saying that in a biased way either. Like, if you look at every report that's coming out, they're quietly not saying it, but saying it, right? Oh, there's rumbles that Ace Bailey's camp prefers Brooklyn. Oh, he wants to stay on the East Coast between New York and Atlanta. He wants Brooklyn. You can tell. There's no forward on this roster that is a starting caliber forward over Ace Bailey in terms of the long-term picture. So where can you get the most minutes with the best coach? It's probably Brooklyn.
I want to get into this, right? Because he does want Brooklyn. And Kenyon Martin came out and blasted him and said not to draft him on Gil's Arena. And I just want to – I love Kenyon Martin. But do you know how Kenyon Martin worked out for the Nets? Do you know how his workout went?
I do not.
Okay, so he had the season-ending injury at Cincinnati. And he was obviously the projected number 1 overall pick, like unanimous. And they wanted him to come work out. So he showed up to the workout with the Nets, picked up the basketball at half court, did a slow jog to the paint, dunked it, put the ball in the baseline, and said, either you're going to draft me or you're not. And then he left with his agent, right? That was his workout. And he didn't work out with any other team. That's the only workout he did, and that's not even a workout. And he got drafted number 1 overall. Now, Stu Jackson was the Vancouver Grizzlies, the Memphis Grizzlies. They were still in Vancouver then. Said that if you fall in 2, we're taking you. So you're not going to fall beyond 2. So he had that reassurance, but we all knew he was going number 1. But that's the guy right there that is bashing Ace Bailey for doing this. Ace Bailey clearly has something in his mind, and I think you're right. I think that he wants to go to Brooklyn or Washington. He wants to go to Brooklyn, but he doesn't know if that's possible. Yeah. But he'd rather fall to Washington than play for Charlotte. Do you think that's correct?
I don't think it's so much that he doesn't want to play for Charlotte. I think it's that Charlotte doesn't want him.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to put him next to Brandon Miller. They're very identical players.
Right.
Right. If you're serious about trying to build something in Charlotte, you need to build versatility within your team. You have LaMelo, who some around the league really do not like and do not want to play with. I don't think Ace is one of them. But you also have Brandon Miller, who is a score-first wing. You really don't have that two-way guy, right? Mark Williams is constantly injured, so you really don't have a starting center either. Miles Bridges is solid, but a role player. He's nothing more than a third option. At that point, you're really looking at two-way guys. VJ Edgecombe makes the most sense. That's 6'4", 6'5", super athletic, incredible defensive player, can catch and shoot from 3, insanely athletic to where he can finish above the rim. Solid playmaker, like a very above-average playmaker for his position. That's a good fit. Con Kneppel, not the flashiest pick, but if you had the best shooter in the draft next to LaMelo who can throw that shit out to him at any point in time, that's an incredible fit. Malliwalk as the Mark Williams replacement makes much more sense than Ace. So Charlotte, to me, is just a team that doesn't want Ace because they don't need him. They're in that position where they need a talent that fits with the current roster rather than drafting just on the upside of a player. They've been poverty for years. They need something at this point.
I want to get into 2 other things. Ace, your thoughts on is it a good idea what he's doing? Is it a bad idea? Is it career suicide? Is he costing himself millions, or is he going to ultimately get what he wants, do you think? I mean, is it a good move or a bad move for Ace Bailey?
When it comes to doing it as an impending rookie, probably not the best move, but you also have to remember the last time a player of this caliber did it was Kobe Bryant, right? He forced his way to the Lakers, where a deal was worked out between them and Charlotte prior to the draft, to where Charlotte was going to take him and get a package in return for him. But Kobe specifically had stated that he only wanted to play for the Lakers. Now, of course, years later, everybody's like, oh, well, the Nets wanted to draft you and they passed on you because of that. But would you have played? And he's like, yeah, I would have played for the Nets. Like, all right, but at the time, you said you would only play for the Lakers. So it's a very similar situation with Ace, I think, in terms of the level of talent that he has as a top 3 prospect and what he's doing with his camp, his agents, everybody. It's very similar to that situation. So at the end of the day, if a player is saying that he does not want to play for you because he doesn't feel it's a fit, then why would you draft him? And it makes sense to pass on him. So again, Charlotte, with the position that they're in, if VJ's off the board, it makes sense to move back and regain some assets as well, while still getting the player that you want, plus some stuff in return.
Now, as far as Ace Bailey, the player, the basketball player, we say his season was disappointing. If we pull up his stats are very good. But I don't think he. Give me your thoughts on Ace Bailey, the basketball player, ceiling, his floor, what we expect year 1 and year 2, what we expect from him right away, and then what's his ceiling, what's his floor, and is there? Well, start with that. Just break him down a little bit as a basketball player and what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, Ace Bailey was my guy before the college basketball season, right? And I'm pretty sure we had been talking and doing episodes together at that time, whether it was you jumping on mine or me jumping on here. But I had said continuously around the start time of the college basketball season that my 2 favorite prospects were him and my sleeper was Jaeger Demon. And I said it before the season began. I thought Jaeger Demon had the possibility of being a top 5 prospect. For the first month of basketball, he was the 4th overall prospect. So there's upside with him. Ace is the guy that has the highest ceiling in this draft, right? He's the biggest project. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. There's no guarantees with him. But if he reaches that ceiling, you're looking at a solidified superstar. There is no in-betweens. He is a superstar or he is Michael Porter Jr. And there's no in-betweens.
Okay, if it's Michael Porter, fine. It's Michael. It's not what you had hoped for, but it's Michael Porter Jr. If that's
Well, let
what
me
he turns out to, is
rephrase
it
that as
that
well.
bad?
Yeah, let me rephrase that as well. If you remember Michael Porter Jr. coming out of Nathan Hill in high school, he was the number one prospect, and everybody
Yeah.
thought he was the next KD. Even at college, he played great. He was still projected to be a top 3 pick. He dealt with the back injury, and he slipped because of it. I still view Ace not as high school Michael Porter Jr., who was solidified number 1, but more so college Michael Porter Jr., where you still felt that he was top 3. That's how I see him, right? If Michael Porter Jr. didn't get that back injury and he was still a top 3 pick, he's probably a star in this league. So I still see Ace having that borderline star capability to his game as a floor with superstar level as his ceiling. And the main reason is just simply because you have the opportunity to develop a 6'10 elite scorer who can pick his spots, create his space, hit shots that are tough over defenders, very athletic and finish above the rim, and a very, very good rebounder. Like if you look at his stats and if you watch his games, he was a good rebounder. So he at least has 2 high upside star capabilities to his game, scoring and rebounding. Now, the IQ and the playmaking, whether it be the IQ on the defensive end, getting lost on certain rotations, on the offensive end where he can't make the right reads and find the open man, those are a bit of concerns. But again, those are things that you can develop in this league. So the overall aspect to his game as a star offensive player is there. It's just the rest of it that you have to develop. And I think that, again, that comes with a select few teams. And Michael Porter Jr. is on one of the worst contracts in basketball, Mark. So congratulations. If you want to pay Cam Thomas that, do it. Just don't complain when he's one of the worst contracts in basketball. Like we're trying to throw jabs at things that still prove my point. I don't get it. Michael Porter Jr. is on one of the worst contracts in basketball.
They can't get rid of it. Yeah.
They can't get rid of it. They went over the second apron for that. They lost Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, and they have not made a championship since. Congrats. If you want to suck ass and be a first-round exit or be a play-in team by paying Cam Thomas, by all means, enjoy. Like, we're just proving my points. Why do we debate? We know that I'm coming with facts. I don't get it. You know that I'm always coming with facts.
If you look at Trey Murphy, who's a much better player than Cam Thomas, he's making $25 million a year. Do you really think Trey Murphy? Do you
Trey Murphy's worth $25 million? That's an undercut.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you really think that Cam Thomas is the player Trey Murphy is?
Yeah, Trey Murphy is levels ahead of Cam Thomas. It's not even.
That's what Mark wants to pay.
Trey Murphy averaged 22 points a game this year. Highly efficient from the field. Highly efficient from 3. Very good rebounder. Super athletic, one of the best defenders in the league.
That's what I'm saying.
He deserves money. He deserves more money.
That's the money that Mark wants to give him. If you want to do a 1-for-1 analogy, Mark, like there are players. Yeah.
That's not even close.
Joe Johnson and KD both said that Ace is a great player. I'm not questioning his ability. I was a huge Ace guy too. And I said that Rutgers with Steve Pikiell and the offense that he runs was not a good fit. He wasn't going to look like a superstar in that offense because that offense is just antiquated and they got 2 bigs on the. It's just not a good offense. It's an antiquated offense that looks like it's from the 90s. You know, it looks like the Bulls out there with Stacey King and Bill Cartwright. It's like this is not how we play basketball anymore. But no. My question wasn't, I did ask you, his ceiling and his floor. I think Ace is a great player too. I think he's raw. What do you expect from him? His rookie year was kind of like. Do you think
I'm expecting inefficient, high-level scoring.
Okay.
And I'm expecting at least one aspect to his game to be slightly better by the end of the season, whether that be his rotational reads on the defensive end, whether it be his playmaking ability. One of those things I expect to be better off the bat. But as a rookie, you would have to think, I'm probably going to say he's averaging about 15.5 points a game, probably around 7 rebounds, maybe like 2.5 assists, because you also have to factor in, if you compare him to Kevin Durant, which many have, if you look at Kevin Durant in college, he never played next to a Dylan Harper, right?
Right.
Him and KD averaged similar assists per game numbers. They were both questionable as playmakers coming into the league. Kevin Durant doesn't really have a problem with that, right? He can play make if he really wants, but he's also going to go and get his 30 a game. And he's done it at a high level for 15 years, and he's been an MVP in this league, and he's a multi-time champion. So that's not my biggest concern, right? the thing is that Ace Bailey was putting up similar assist per game numbers next to Dylan Harper, who is a ball dominant point guard who is an incredible playmaker. So though the numbers don't look great, and though the eye test doesn't show that there was much effectiveness as a playmaker, you still have to remember that Kevin Durant was in a very similar position, minus having that ball dominant point guard, right? So I think Ace Bailey has the development and the upside that can be worked on, as long as he is willing to do it, right? A lot of people are questioning his character because of some of these decisions he's making by not working out for certain teams and trying to force his way to certain teams. Put that aside. The skill set's there. If he's willing to learn, he's going to learn, and he's going to become a superstar. So again, at the point where Brooklyn's at, where you have no solidified star in terms of young talent, yes, taking him is by far the best gamble that you can take because of the fact that he has that superstar capability in terms of an upside.
Ace Bailey didn't. Ace Bailey. Kevin Durant didn't play with Dylan Harper, but he did play with DJ Augustine. Remember DJ Augustine? A little point guard kicked around the league for a while. He played with him in college.
KD played with him?
What
was his assist per game numbers at Texas?
DJ Augustine?
Yeah,
the little bottle. He kicked around the league for a long time. What was DJ Augustine's college assist numbers?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he averaged 6 assists.
There you go.
Actually pretty good. Yeah. 17 a game too. Yeah, he used to be nice. I mean, he was also a sophomore though that year with KD. Right? Was it 07-08 or was it 06-07?
It was 07-08.
Okay, so that was Augustine's second year.
Shoot. No, was it 06-07? It was 06-07. It was 06-07.
Oh, it was?
And then 07-08.
06-07, yeah. 06-07, he averaged 6.7 assists that year.
Because he went back one more year. Augustine went to school in 07-08 and then went in the draft, right?
Okay. Yeah. So then, and they were both in very similar situations then. That I can admit that I was wrong. I did not know that he had a ball
DJ Augustine. No, you're not wrong. DJ Augustine, I liked him. Dylan Harper, he was not, but he was a good player.
Yeah. I mean, the playmaking stats show that he was at least a ball dominant pass first guy. So makes sense why KD's numbers were low. But again, both of them had the same question marks is the point that I was trying to get to. Both had low assist per game numbers. It's something that can be worked on. It's not the end of the world. Especially when he has the level of scoring and upside that he has.
Augustine would have been our best point guard after Dennis left. You ain't never lied, LBL. You ain't never lied.
You're not wrong.
Such a disaster of a team.
Where did he end up getting drafted? Was it Orlando, Augustine?
Yeah. Oh, is that where he played? He's one of those guys who's a backup point guard like every team.
I want to say that because he went there. Michael Carter Williams went to Philly. That's the two that I was thinking of.
Let me see. What was the first team he played?
Wow. FanDuel updated their odds also. Jeremiah Fears and Ace Bailey are currently tied as favorites to be the 8th overall pick at plus 450. Yegor Demon has moved all the way up to a plus 600. He wasn't even on there before.
Can we address this briefly? Not to cut you off, but can we address this? The LBL Ron Harper Sr. beat.
Yeah, I looked into that a little bit. That was funny.
Well, Ron Harper. How many NBA rings does he have? 5? He has 5 rings. 5-time NBA champion Ron Harper is Twitter beefing with LBL. I would wear that as a badge of honor. LBL. What started that? Like, there was so much in that I couldn't even. What was the baseline of that? What started that beef?
I don't know. I didn't really watch it that much because I just kept getting bombarded with Twitter messages. So I was like, I'm gonna get off.
Yeah, it was hard. There was so much I couldn't find the root cause of it.
Yeah.
I know Net fans want Sorber at 19. If Bigs go early and the Hawks don't trade up for Meliuak, Sorber to 13 isn't out of the question. Who picks? I know who's picking 13? The Hawks pick 13. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
That's the Hawks pick from Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see Atlanta taking Sorber at 13. Is that too early for him, do you think?
I think it's too early. I mean, the talent's there. It's just in terms of how they're projected, it's a bit early.
LBL making sure Dylan Harper never plays for the Nets. Well, he's playing for the Spurs, so All right, I want to get into this. You came up with a way. This is going to segue into the mock draft that we'll have on Tuesday.
Mhm.
But moving up twice in the draft, talk a little bit about how we do that, the possibilities, the reality of us, what that would look like, and how much would you be willing to give up to move up
For Ace,
for both, for first for Ace and then for Igor?
I think it's very simplistic. I think Nick Claxton or Cam Johnson plus, the 8th pick to move up to 4.
So that's pretty straightforward.
I think that's very straightforward. Yusuf Nurkic is an expiring contract. They have guys like Grant Williams and Josh Green. Josh Green, is it? What's his name? Why am I going blank? The kid that was in Dallas that got sent to Charlotte. I think it's Josh Green. A package
Josh
of him
Green,
and
yeah,
Williams.
Josh
Green and Grant Williams could be packaged up for a Claxton Cam Johnson contract. So I see one of those two packages working for the 4th pick. Houston, it depends. If Cam Johnson gets sent to Charlotte, you're probably now looking at Houston at 10 with a similar package to what San Antonio got for the Rob Dillingham deal, right? Which could be, full rights to the 2027 pick, the 19th pick, and another future first, whether that be a 2027 Knicks pick or a protected pick from 2029 with the Knicks, like whatever it may be. You could see something like that. And I think that that's something that is very beneficial because, again, if you're looking at Brooklyn trying to build the draft, right, you have opportunities where if you move let's just say you do Nick Claxton, right? It's Nick Claxton and 8 for 4 and Yusuf Nurkic. You're still able to move on from Johnson. Now, whether that be on draft night to move up to 9 or 10 with Toronto or Houston, or whether that's keeping him, moving additional draft capital plus the 19th pick to move up to 9 or 10, and then keeping Cam Johnson and flipping him later on to regain some of that draft capital back. There's very numerous routes that you can take with it. I was looking at one that's not the one that I had posted here, but it was Nick Claxton in the 8th pick. Maybe you can throw on a couple of seconds for the 4th pick and Nurkic. You get Ace. You move back up to 10. I was going to
ask you. Let me pause you right there. Let me ask you this question. If Charlotte asks for additional first rounders, if they ask for 26 or 27, would you be willing to throw that in to get
not
the deal
26
done?
now. Not 26.
Okay.
I would be willing to throw in an additional first, but it would have to be protected.
Okay, a future first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because realistically, to me, Nick Claxton is worth a first, right? Nick Claxton to me is worth a first. He's a starting big in this league. So you have to factor it in as I'm giving you the 8th pick plus a future first for an expiring contract and a 4-spot move up.
Here's my issue, though. Like, is Nick Claxton worth a first?
Yes.
On its
Any
face,
starting
yes.
big man in this league is worth it.
Agreed. When you attach that contract to it, is he still worth a first? Because now I got to take on a better contract.
Yeah, because Mark Williams is due an extension, and he's going to get something similar. So do you want a relatively healthy, very high upside defensive player who fits the timeline of LaMelo and is already locked into a long-term contract that is descending? Or do you want to pay an injury-prone Mark Williams or get negative value back for Mark Williams and have no starting big man? It's kind of pick your poison. Which one do you want? So I think that they would prefer Claxton. That's just my personal take. But again,
clearly they tried to trade Mark Williams. They tried to get rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, center is something that's definitely on their mind. And if you can get the starting center for the price of also getting the guy that you want, who is your second on your big board, meaning Charlotte and Con Kneppel, then why not? Right? You're still getting a starting big and the guy that you want. So it's up in the air, but there are certainly options for it. So let's just say you do that, right? Claxton in the 8th pick for 4 and Nurkic. Brooklyn moves up and they get Ace. Then you're looking at, okay, let's package up 19 and our 2027 first round pick that it's a swap with Houston. You give them the full rights to that pick, right? So you do that to move up to 10, right? So a 9-spot move back and full rights plus your own pick. So now Houston would have their own pick plus our pick rather than it being a swap. I could see that being valuable. They get that. You move up to 10, you get Demon. And then you still have Cam Johnson, whether you want to move him to OKC on draft night for the 15th pick, or you want to keep him and expand on his value in the offseason where you can probably get 2 first-round picks from OKC for him, right?
But in this equation, we're still drafting 4 times in the first round, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
You could.
Is that
I
what,
mean,
do you
for
want
me,
to
I would package up 26 and 27 to move up to 17 or 20. Right, Minnesota
Okay,
at
that's what I was
17
about to
or
ask you.
Miami
Yeah.
at 20. Yeah, I would. If it's Miami at 20, I would package up 26 and 36. If it's 17 with Minnesota, I would package up 26 and 27. Because for me, it's like, all right, are you getting Thomas Sorber or are you getting Rasheer Fleming? So just depends on which one's available then. But I think Sorber at 17 would be fucking beautiful. If there's a world where you can walk away with Ace Bailey as your wing of the future, Demon as your guard of the future, and Sorber as your center of the future, I think that's the best.
Move Claxton's contract all in one day. It'd be the most.
And somehow still keeping Cam Johnson to where you can flip him for additional assets. Yes, that is the best draft that you can have, not named Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper, for sure.
We could have made life easier and just did better in the lottery, but the NBA didn't want to hook us up. So now we got.
Yeah, and Adam Silver's getting fisted for that too, because two small market franchises are putting on the best finals performance in over 8 years. So
it's a damn shame that no one is watching it. That is a damn shame.
I've watched every game. They've all been entertaining outside of Game 2 and Game 6.
Who wins Game 7?
I still think it's OKC. How do you lose at home with a super team and an injured Tyrese Halliburton? You know,
I've said, and I said Indy would win 6 and 7.
Indiana.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that. I think Indiana just wears you out. I think they bleed you out the same way a 12-round prize fight goes. And like right now, the thing that Oklahoma City has going for them is that's obviously in their home.
Yeah.
It's in their home stadium. They're clearly the much more talented team.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're way more talented. But and you get the extra days of rest. The NBA Finals goes on for so long now with 2-3 days off in between every game. You get to kind of recharge your batteries a little more than if you had the games more back to back.
Yeah.
So they got all that going. From all of that being said, I still pick Indiana. They go 9-10 deep. They run you up the court. The games are so physical now. They can basically foul you on defense and then run you up the court on offense. What
did I say though earlier in the year about OKC?
What did you say?
They're too young and they're too overpowered. You need
right.
to move off of some of these younger role players, and you have to pick between Jalen Williams and Chet, because I don't think that those two guys as your second and third options are the best complementary pieces to SGA. Like if you go out and flip, let's just say Jalen Williams for Jaylen Brown, or if you flip Chet for Giannis, you somehow like if you were to do Chet, Nikola Topic, Isaiah Joe, and 6 first-round picks for Giannis, they're never losing. Like it would be over. They got to find that right complementary piece though. Chet, he's too frail, he's too skinny, he's just not. He's not.
And that's what, because if you had to pick moving forward for the rest of your franchise, who you're taking, Jalen Williams or Chet? You're taking Chet. Okay.
I'm taking Chet. Yeah, because the difference is that he can create his own space. He can play off ball. He's a solid 3-point shooter. He's one of the better defensive players. Maybe not a top 10 defender, but he's up there. He's very much so up there. And he also can give you 5 boards, 5 assists a night. So to me, I think it's a better complementary piece next to SGA than Chet, because Chet, 1, can't stay healthy. 2, he's the size of a toothpick. And 3, he is inefficient as a floor spacer. He's not really a stretch 5 if you can't shoot threes, right? So I think it depends on what you value. To me, if you can get a package that I just said for Giannis, that makes you so much better.
We're gonna get Trey Johnson in 3 wings. And I'm gonna go ballistic.
I am trying to prepare myself for, because I've had this draft like a draft mold in my mind for like 7 months. A guard, a center, and 2 wings. That's what I've said the entire time. I have to figure out a way though to get prepared for when the Nets select 3 guards and
Trey Johnson in 3 wings.
Yeah, and like fucking Walter Clayton, because I'm gonna freak out. Like I'm not prepared for that. So hopefully they don't. But they'd be smart to take guard, center, and 2 wings. I think that's just the best route to go. It's the biggest positions of need, and there's best player availables at any point in that you can take. There's real talk that Rasheer Fleming is going to be available at 26. I have no clue how.
Rasheer Fleming at 26?
Every mock has him going 26, 27 to us. If he falls that far and he's there, my fucking God, that's a steal.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting past Minnesota at 17 realistically.
That's what I said. 2017 and 20. Well, we'll look at this again tomorrow.
I was gonna say they got Cedric Howard and Nick Clifford
yeah.
now as higher upperclassmen. Like they have
Cedric Howard surgeons is kind of interesting to me. He didn't play it. Yeah.
If you look at the stats, it's like guys in the league who have been drafted with a 7'1" wingspan or higher, and it was like Jalen Williams, a bunch of guys who are really good. Pascal, like the stats show that he should transition really well into an NBA player.
Where do you get where they find are they making these people in labs? Like everyone's got a +7 wingspan now, right?
Yeah,
when I was boxing, I was 5'11". I have a 6'2" wingspan. That was like crazy. 154 with a 6'2" wingspan at 5'11". That's crazy. That's a +3 wingspan. Yeah. Now every guy in the NBA combine has a +7 wingspan. Like, is there anyone in the NBA who's got a negative wingspan? Is there anyone like that? Desmond Bane?
Desmond Bane, yeah.
But... Yeah, is he the only one? Like where?
Probably.
Like typically, your wingspan is your height within an inch.
Yeah.
Either way. Now, everyone is 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan. It's like, how is this? How is this everybody?
It's crazy. I would not. If we get Walter Clayton, I'm gonna fucking freak out. I can't stand him. One of the most overhyped up dudes I've ever seen in my life.
Desmond Bane's got a 2-foot wingspan. All right, so we bring in Ace Bailey and Igor. Let's say that happens. Let's live in that world just hypothetically for a moment. Are they both day one starters?
Demon, probably not.
But what's the point in not starting him, though, right? Like, I mean,
I agree because I think also playing younger guys will increase their development quicker, but it'll also translate into losses that helps your lottery odds.
It's a win-win. Yeah.
If it was my choice, my starting lineup next year would be Demon, fucking Cam Thomas, Ace, Thomas Sorber, and then Aaron Sharp. Yeah, just get as young as possible. Make it make no sense, but just develop the shit out of these guys. That would be my thing.
Yeah, right now I'm not worried about fit. Like we have the worst roster in basketball.
100%. It's not even worse.
Well, Washington's pretty bad too.
It's not. It's really not.
It's better than ours. It's better than ours by far.
They have Bub Carrington. They have Bilal Coulibaly. They have Alex Sarr. Those are 3 players with higher upside than anybody on this team outside of Cam Thomas and Bub Carrington. Bilal has more upside than Cam Thomas. Sarr has more upside than Cam Thomas. Like, we have the worst fucking roster in basketball. It's horrible.
It's terrible.
It's really bad.
It's
Utah. They at least have Larry Markkinen. They have Kyle Filipowski. They have Keontae George. Like they have players.
Tyrese Martin and Keyshawn Johnson. It's like it's really bad.
Like Portland, they have Denny. Bad. Yeah, Portland. They have Denny. They have Tamani.
No, Portland's definitely, but Portland's roster is not all that bad. Yeah.
New Orleans, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones.
They're a million times better than that.
Yeah. Like it's not even close to how bad our roster is in terms of just all around win now roster and also youth and upside. We have the worst roster in every category.
But yeah,
by far.
We talk about Noah Clowney like he's Chet, like this can't miss. Like, okay, guys, chill. I like Clowney too, but just chill. I don't even know if he's an NBA starter. We'll find out. Like
if he can't fucking fix his ankle issues, probably not. And I love Clowney. I have a lot of hope for him, but he's had 3 ankle injuries this season. Yeah, stay healthy.
All right. We've gone on for an hour and 10 minutes. Anything else you want to close us out with? Anything?
No, we're 3 days away. I'm scared. We'll see what happens. But good news is the KD trade should be happening tonight or tomorrow. So that's per Gambo. If you don't know Gambo by now, he's the most reliable Suns reporter out there. No teams really specified, but you would have to think that the deal's done. They're just working with a 3rd or 4th team now to finalize it, and then they're probably going to announce it after the finals. But that's kind of my guess. But the deal is close. So once that happens is when we'll start to be able to figure out what happens with us, because whether we're involved in that or not, we can kind of figure out how we're going to move up. And I think that's going to be massive.
All right. So right now, I just want to close out. I want your opinion, not what you want, not in a perfect world, in the reality that we live in, where Sean Marks is the GM.
Yeah.
Is Sean Marks going to do anything from now until the draft?
Depending on the result of the KD trade.
And you do think KD will be traded before the draft, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on the result of the KD trade, if Houston is not involved in it, the only way that I can see Brooklyn making a move prior to draft night is if Houston's not involved and Brooklyn can move up to 10. Because if Brooklyn can at least solidify themselves at 8 and 10 prior to draft night, that gives you a much better position to move up for Ace and keep 10. So that's the only way that I can see Brooklyn trying to make a move prior to draft night.
And then well, give me your prediction.
Mhm.
On Wednesday night, give me the first round. Who do the Nets walk away with?
Ace Bailey.
Okay. I don't want to live in that world. Like I want to live in that world, but I don't want to. I don't want to sell myself a false dream here. If we
I'm already out on the Jeremiah Fears stuff. I'm gonna cry as soon as I hear his name go to Utah or Washington. I'm gonna fucking hate it. I'm gonna watch every game of his this year, and I'm gonna cry even more when I see that he is the all-star that I expect him to be. But I doubt that we get Fears now, unfortunately.
You gotta stop saying Trey Johnson. This is Trey Johnson is not a Sean Marks guy either, right? Like, he's not going to draft. This is not.
I have Cam Thomas on my team. I'm not taking a 2-inch taller version of him. Fuck this shit, man. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna start getting angry.
All right. So Dylan, I think we're walking with Ace too. I don't know how. I don't know if he's going to fall, if we're going to trade up, but this just to me feels more and more like Ace Bailey is going to be a Brooklyn Net.
Yeah.
And then we'll order Ace Bailey jerseys and hope that works out.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out because I definitely, like I said, if it's a player that I want, I'll get a jersey. I was definitely going to get one if it was Harper or Flag. If it's Ace or if it's
Fears,
I'll get a jersey. If it is not, I will be holding off for a while. But we'll see. Those are the two guys I would get jerseys for.
All right. Well, what do we get Kuminga? Will you get a Kuminga jersey?
No. Okay. No, I'll get a custom one that says the cum bucket. That's it. Yeah. I still remember when he entered the league and somebody was like, "Oh my god, the cum bucket's here." I was like, "How do you even come up with that shit?" It's impressive. It really is. Real quickly too, before you take us out of here, if you guys haven't checked it out already, please feel free to head over to my Twitter at NetsPressIG. Check out the pinned post. It is the article that we are looking at right here. If you want to take a full read, leave a like, repost it, share it out. Follow the Substack. This is on Shot Coverage, which is who I'm currently doing articles for right now. It's also over on my Substack as well. It's like a collab thing. So feel free to follow mine. Follow Shot Coverage. I'll be over there posting some stuff up throughout the week as well. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at NetsPress. So this way you don't miss out on any of the draft night news. I won't be at draft night. I know we were talking about it backstage. I'm going to pass on the opportunity to go with, just the weather, a lot of the things that are happening around. It's just I'm not trying to get into that environment. So I'm going to pass on it. I'm going to do my content. So make sure to follow me on Instagram at NetsPress so you don't miss out on any of the picks.
And I will be there. I'll be there live. I'll try to jump in and show you the reaction. If you guys are live, I'll try to.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and schedule a live. So LBL, any of you guys, whoever's not going to the draft, if you want to hop on a live during the picks, feel free to jump on. I'll be here.
All right, y'all. I agree with Dylan. I think one way or another, we're going to end up with Ace Bailey. I really believe that. It's starting to. I thought I was going to come on and say that, and Dylan was going to tell me I'm crazy. That there's no way this happens. But it's starting to look like a reality. So there is hope in Brooklyn. June 22nd, 2025, from Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Later.